Hello there. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Double Critical, and this is the post-Gen Con Legion announcement, super four mysterious things that we're going to be talking about. Sean, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Another fun day. Actually, had today off because we had worries about the hurricane, so they let me stay home.
Very cool, even though that hurricane ended up being nothing. Yeah. Well, you know, they say about hurricanes, they have a 99% survival rate, so there's no reason to worry. No, but yeah, so we had a pretty good eventful Gen Con. I think some people had mixed feelings about it. I think a lot of people wanted to see more stuff revealed.
I think everything's still kind of, we're still in the, I don't even want to say post-COVID world, but the current COVID world. Yeah. Where factories are still kind of chugging along at 75%, so they don't want to put too much out, give us all the hope, and then have to wait this is akin to like Armada. We found out about the Super Star Destroyer, and then a year and a half later is when we finally got it.
Yeah, when they finally revealed it, it was literally one Gen Con when they brought it out, and the very next Gen Con when it went on sale. So it was things can definitely get slowed down, and I think a testament to that is that they did not have painted versions of these miniatures even ready to go in their live stream. They had, some factory proofs, but they were still in the gray plastic. So
their preview stuff happened. Like the Darth Maul was amazing.
But it wasn't painted. Well, I guess they had a painted picture.
Painted picture.
For the live stream, they had the proofs. They didn't show you the painted picture, which is surprising. It made me think that maybe they were missing some things, because I think it was the droid pack that they only had.
Oh, the droid pack they didn't even show. You're correct.
Yeah, they just had the renders of that. So that's that might be why they're only giving us a tease, because it definitely seems like the four expansions that we got shown are probably just half of this wave, with the other half being the other four items. And that's really what we're going to talk about today. We're going to kind of speculate on what those might be, and have some fun with it in good double critical fashion.
I do want to give kudos to FFG. The painting, I was watching the Darth Maul one, and that model is the outside source lighting, which is from the lightsaber. Yeah. It's so faint on all the clothes and the side. It was the guy, whoever they hired it, I don't know if it's Sorastro, but it's amazingly well done.
Yeah, I think I was impressed with the Maul sculpt specifically because I liked the eyes too. They had a really nice glow.
I was about to say the eyes. Yeah, they were really good.
Yeah, I always struggle with the eyes. That's the hardest part. Honestly, I almost get to the point where I just don't care. I'm like, look, anything that's if it's the helmeted version or the non-helmeted version, I always go for the helmeted version. I got to do somebody with their eyes, and I'm just like, man, you know what? Just forget it. Let's just give them white eyes like the X-Men.
It's rough. It's something I don't think if I could ever do colored eyes unless it's a bigger model. Yeah. So I think my big dinosaurs they have different colored eyes just because they have bigger eyes, so it's easier.
Yeah. There's something about superhero masks. I remember they did this in the X-Men cartoon where on the one on Fox where they'd have eyeballs, but then when they put their masks on, even if it was masks that didn't cover the eyes, when they would turn on their superpowers, the eyes would go white, right? And I think the Ninja Turtles did this too in a couple episodes where they almost make fun. It's no, eyes are going white now. I mean, superpowers turned on. So I think from now on, I'm just painting all eyes white. Especially so. Yeah, and speaking of X-Men 2, the Marvel Crisis Protocol announced the X-Men 2, so I'm excited about that. It's fun stuff for miniatures games as a whole.
Oh yeah,
especially with Armada. You guys know Armada is my favorite game, and Armada got the big reveal for Clone Wars, and I think that was another reason they probably didn't show as much of everything else that was available, because I think if you did too much for one game, it might take away from another.
Yeah, I think they're trying to be balanced. Mm-hmm. Most of the games because they want them all to succeed. So
yeah. So here's basically what we're going to be talking about today is that there are 4 more expansions coming.
Yes.
And these expansions are going to be, all of them are Rebel and Imperial. So presumably 2 Imperial, 2 Rebel.
Yeah.
So and what they did say is that at least one of these was one that Luke Eddy had said that he had not seen the community ever ask for in Legion.
We would want it, but we'd never asked for it.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I teased him in Discord a little bit, saying something along the lines of, "I'm like, wait. You said nobody wants this. I want everything." And he's like, "No." And so he corrected me. And he goes, "I didn't say you wouldn't want it or that nobody wants it. I said that it hasn't been asked for yet." Now,
it's mind-boggling because
that's a tough one, and I wanna the first thing I want to talk about before we start guessing on specific units is. Luke Eddy is not omniscient, right? He doesn't know everything. So maybe over your kitchen table, somebody watching at home, maybe in the comments section of some of my videos, somebody has probably asked for whatever this is at some point.
And Google just didn't pick it up through their always on.
Right. I think he was making more of an off-the-cuff remark, like as in he hasn't seen it being asked for, which means it's probably not a heavily asked for unit.
Yeah.
However, I did think that at first that maybe he was trolling, like it was like an Ahsoka or something like that.
Yeah, or it could be like it's been the most asked for, and that's what the surprise is. Yeah.
Yeah. But the fact that he went and corrected me, and the way he was like, no, it's not that you won't want. Oh, you'll want it, but it's something that I haven't seen asked for. And I'm like, okay, well now doesn't seem like a troll. Now it seemed like he was trying to clarify his position. So
yeah.
I think at least one of these units, and I'm guessing that we'll probably know it when we see it, is going to be something a little bit more obscure. So, and the only other thing we know is that it's canon, which is like, okay, which the reason I think he had to point that out is probably it's something that you might wonder if it's canon. So something that you might even be like, wait, is that even canon? That's
okay,
maybe.
That's because
yeah, it's a tough one.
It's confusing. I'm not doing anything like what is canon, what's not canon. And...
Right. So it's very, very confusing. I have a couple of ideas, but I think two of them are highly requested as well, or very popular. So that does leave like one that's somewhere in the middle that's been at least partially requested, but not ultra requested. So, like there's I think 1,000,001 possible combinations, but I think to help us sort of guide us in the discussion on like what could they be, what might they be, it helps to talk about what's already known, and not a whole lot, but we got first off we got the specialist packs for clones and separatists, and that's good. That's something that's been a long time coming.
And they're not carbon copies of the Rebel and Imperial specialists either. They have like the clones, the medics they can still shoot because that's what clones did, and the droids are different because they don't really need comms text. They have something, the observation thing we're probably going to end up talking about. So I like that they didn't just copy paste. Hey, everyone gets a medic, everyone gets an Android. No, they are tailoring it to the armies.
They are, and they also said that the Cologne commander is going to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
And that the droid commander is really bad, but he has really good keywords, which they're not going to talk about, and as a result, they're each 5 points more expensive than their counterparts in the regular factions.
Which in the grand scheme of things is not that big.
It's not that big of a deal, but it's at least it's something, and it's a starting point for them to be able to maybe increase points if they become too powerful, or or vice versa. And I also said there'd be points changes coming before the end of the year too, so that's good.
I missed that part.
Yeah, that and the errata points changes, that whole kind of live stream where they talk about all that stuff or whatever, that will be coming too. So that's always really like I'm more excited about that than I am about other games, because with Legion it's like they don't have to change points. They really, like, I feel like with games like X-Wing, where they have the hyperspace thing and they change points every 6 months, it's like they're gonna change stuff, and they always change a lot of stuff. And so it's just like they're like, hey, whatever is the most popular is gonna get a points increase, and whatever is the least popular is gonna get. And so a lot of that just feels like automatic to me. Not all of it.
Reactionary kind of
reactionary. Whereas I think in Legion it's a lot more deliberate. Like maybe only 2 things get a change. But those things are going to be like, maybe it's because I play more Legion than I do of X-Wing, so I feel maybe a little bit more impacted.
A little biased observation kind of thing, but then in some ways, though, like it's like I think you said with that. I don't play X-Wing barely. I played it once or twice a while ago, and the hyperspace format seems like it's meant to be that we want to change things when we want to make something more like almost like a branding. Like, hey, we're gonna make this setup more popular. Maybe it'll sell more, kind of thing.
Yeah, like, hey, this ship's not selling. Let's make it to where you can fit 6 of them in a list. Yeah. I could see that totally happening, right? Like, what if ATSTs go down to 50 points each, and all of a sudden everybody buys a whole bunch of them? No, that would be funny. So, but the other two, the big two, and it's who we kind of knew were coming. I had found leaks of Anakin and Maul on the distributor site, and so that's super exciting. But yeah, Anakin and Maul are coming. Couple of interesting new things, and they're not the same here, which is very interesting. Yes. First off, they are. Well, let's talk about what they both have, and this I think influences what the new stuff might be. They're both saber users. They're both force users.
Yep.
So, and they both seem to come with force powers, right? Like there's that offensive stance.
Yeah, and they highly emphasize the high risk, high reward gameplay. So that's true. That's something you don't actually hear developers talk about a lot, because to have that factor into points is kind of neat. Like, hey, we know this is a somewhat of a glass cannon, but can be incredibly potent.
I absolutely love that mentality, and I will probably run both of these guys exclusively quite a bit, especially Maul. Like, I don't think I will ever run Separatist without Maul once he comes out. Like, I don't.
So what you're saying is we need to get that Cad Bane battle report in soon.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna have to try him out at some point. Yeah, I think Separatists are my least favorite faction in the game.
Which is funny, because Maul is like your favorite character.
I know, it's so weird. Like, see, all of this might change by the time we get like Night Sisters and Savage Opress also, because I really like Dooku, and I kind of like Grievous. I like Dooku more than Grievous, because Dooku's a little cooler. Yeah. So like, so I just don't like the spam of B1 battle droids. I mean, not that it's not effective. It's just it's so much more setup. And I am so lazy when it comes to this game. The setup time is what like kills me. That's why I like Armada more than Legion, is because like there's no terrain, so it's easier to set up.
Yeah, but I remember back in the after you're done with Armada, though, the disassembling takes forever.
Oh, I don't disassemble Armada. I just put everything.
You don't.
I don't at all. I put everything on the shelf. Like, yeah, there's a reason. Like, I think I started the YouTube channel so I'd have an excuse for not putting my ships away, and it's so I could set them up behind me as a stage. Yeah, no, something like that. All right, but sorry. So they're both Force users. As a matter of fact, I was going to say this was something different about them, but this is another new thing, and I think they both have it, but Anakin's the one they talked about, is the flaw, which is brilliant.
Oh, yeah, no, it's amazing. Like,
and I think Darth Maul has a flaw also in the spread.
Did you see it in the spread? Because is it the one that says the brown-backed card?
It's the brown-backed card, yeah.
Okay.
I believe...
What would his flaw be?
Well, I think they said that he has a flaw also. And I think that maybe rage, maybe he's reckless. Maybe.
Well, no, I mean they
he gets consumed by hatred, and so like the same way. Spoilers. The same way he dies is like
Jason Kenobi.
Yeah, is that he was consumed by revenge, and so that could easily be a flaw, or
true,
or him just being too eager to fight, right? Which could absolutely be it.
So what? Consumed by hatred. So maybe if you were surrounded by more than like say like 3 enemies when they range 1 to 2, one enemy gets a free attack or something like that.
Maybe. I was gonna say like it's maybe something that your opponent plays that cuts you in half. And what I mean by that, it does half damage to you, like half of your health.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Reduces your dice pool by half, because he has 8 dice for his lightsaber. So maybe and also that's thematic, because Obi-Wan did slice his lightsaber in half.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So cuts his dice pool in half, and maybe reduces his movement speed down to 1. Also.
Okay.
But the thing is, all we know about these flaw cards is that at the start of the game, you give your opponent a flaw card. All right. Like.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's going to be written onto the unit card, like Anakin Skywalker, flaw, tempted by the dark side, or whatever. We don't know the name of the flaw, but that's going to be like attached to his unit card. And I'm guessing, based on the live stream, that, and I talked about this a little bit in my live stream, so if you guys watched my live stream, you may have an idea where I'm going with this, is that since Anakin's card is the one command card we got to see, deals with suppression, that the idea is that when Anakin gets enough suppression, that's what triggers your opponent to be able to play that card. Like if Anakin, like the flaw card could read, if Anakin has more than 4 suppression at the start of a turn or after he rallies or whatever, you may play this card, and then it makes him switch sides. You know,
it's interesting because there's a way as the Anakin player you can get rid of that is by recovering, but then that means you have to lose one of your actions.
Yeah.
In hopes, and then the other players has to wait till once Anakin's gone, everything like split fire on Anakin all the way.
Yeah, it's a really tough, like, and I feel like I think it should definitely be about suppression. Yeah, enough suppression gets on Anakin, they can make him switch sides, which means you have to be very careful about how you maneuver him in, about keeping him close to inspiring people. Obi-Wan maybe using that hope upgrade to automatically remove suppression from somebody. Now all of a sudden, if Obi-Wan gives Anakin enough hope, he keeps him on the light side, right? Aayla Secura with that shiny blue skin is kind of incentivizing Anakin to stay on our side, right? I mean, with her good leadership and her accent, it has nothing to do with anything else.
And you actually said, putting him in a good spot. His cards say, hey, if you're in range 1 to 2, you benefits and all that kind of stuff. So you kind of say, hey, no, put him closer to units just in case,
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things like on the last turn, that's when you finally unleash him and go crazy when it's too late for your opponent to do it or something like that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. That's my guess. And if it's the interesting thing is some builds will have an easier time trying to suppress him. Some factions, yes, and how perfectly thematic is it for the Empire to have the best advantage converting Anakin Skywalker into Darth Vader?
I mean, I hope that's planned because it's too brilliant.
It's oh my gosh, yeah, and I think that's the hint that they're kind of steering us towards by showing us that command card. I can't wait to see the rest of his command cards. I think everything about this character is brilliant. And the reason we're talking about this, I know we're more of a prediction show, but this is so new and so relevant because it's going to factor into predictions that I feel like the flaw here also gives them room because this is kind of Anakin at the height of his power. And I was afraid for them to do this because I feel like you can't make a better version of Anakin than this. Well, it doesn't have to be stronger to be better because now you can make an episode 2 Anakin or an early season 1 Clone Wars General Skywalker, version that doesn't have the flaw, that maybe is less experienced, so maybe he's not quite as good, but because he doesn't have the flaw, he's less of a risk. You know, so you want a more stable Anakin that's not quite so strong, but also isn't going to turn on you, and so I think that's brilliant. And so I think that, and you could do the same thing with Maul. Right, like I think the big part of me has always said that I thought Episode 1 Maul should be the most powerful, because he was whole.
Yes,
but then
because the other ones are more of a leading kind of Maul. Like he had to use people because he wasn't as strong anymore.
Yeah, I mean he's still strong, but maybe he had peaked, right? And gameplay wise, mechanically, they can do that easily by a future version of him not having a flaw or having a different flaw, and that can easily factor into the points. I love the fact that you can now exceed the ceiling of where power creep could have been by putting in a negative aspect. I think that's brilliant.
And I like how they say hey, he's costed at this value, but by the end of that game he could be costed more in the value sense because of his card. So
right.
They say it's you, and as an opponent, you have ways to play against that. So it gives you kind of a control of it in some ways as even the opponent.
Yeah.
And going back to Maul, I remember it was I don't know if it was this canon or old canon when he got cut in half. Basically, one of the reasons that he wasn't as strong is because he wasn't as connected to the Force, because mechanical parts are not Force sensitive.
Right. I think that's part of old canon, but I don't think it's been deliberately wiped away by the new canon yet. So that could still be it. And I like that. And at least until further notice, that's kind of the mindset that I'm going with. And that's, and that's a good reason. And hey, you know what? It doesn't mean that somebody can't defy that. Hell, there's even stories about droids potentially using the Force. So
still in a droid body.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff.
I know that story.
But either way, it's very interesting. Yeah. So that's the flaw cars are something that I think they both have. They're both saber wielders and lightsabers and all that. But Maul has the probe droids. Yes. And they're going to have those observation tokens. Now, that's something that could show up. Now, they didn't tell us much about observation tokens, but they said that they'd be pretty cool, and we'll learn more about those in the future.
They can affect the battlefield without having to be actively in it.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to probably somehow be related to giving line of sight to units that might not have had line of sight, or maybe giving sharpshooter to people that or something like that.
Giving some kind of when you spend an observation token, you can gain sharpshooter gain,
right, or something.
You can gain a sharpshooter or aim or something.
It's like kind of like the opposite of a smoke token or something like that. I don't know. That's kind of my idea, something like that. But I think it'd be cooler if it gave line of sight, because that could be a good counter to the clone ball. Like, oh, we've got one standby and he's totally hidden, so you can't stop it. I'm like, okay, but if I drop an observation token, now my mortar can hit him over the rock, something like that, which would be a great balancing thing right now, because that's a big problem that a lot of people are complaining about. Hey, the clones being able to share tokens is one thing, but standbys is a whole new ball game.
It is,
and I understand that. I think it is strong, but I think clones are also pretty expensive, right? So all it takes is a little bit of something to mess them up,
A little bit of whittling away at every single unit can make them either or just wipe one out, and that all of a sudden that one strong clone is just gone. You have again 4 regular guys. It's not going to help you as much.
Yeah, there's the old adage of no matter how strong they are, after round after round after round of concentrated firepower, they're probably going to drop. This is an old joke somebody said about an Imperial Star Destroyer or an Armada, and being one of the strongest ships in the game, and somebody's like, it's not that strong. After multiple rounds of sustained fire, it drops like a brick. I'm like, well, that's true about everything. Yeah. Super Star Destroyer goes down.
It was the it was the interdictor.
It was an interdictor.
You made that engineering build.
Yeah, but the same thing. Oh, the AAT is strong, but if your whole entire army shoots at it, it'll over and over again, it will die. I'm like, well, that's true with everything except for Palpatine, because Palpatine doesn't ever take any wounds.
That still hurts right here.
Oh yeah, and it's difficult. It's difficult. So now painful memories. So we have some interesting leads to go off of.
Yes.
Now Maul has something unique in that he comes with a whole nother unit. Now they're a detachment, and they can do observation tokens. Anakin, it does not appear, comes with a whole nother unit.
But he does grow in more power as you play the game.
He does, and I think that's probably going to be Anakin's specific thing. Although permanent cards could totally be a thing.
Yeah, permanent cards. But actually, I have a pretty good idea of one for the Rebels, and I don't know if you want to get into it now.
Well, let's jump right in, because so Rebels, we presumably have 2 for each. What do you think?
So there's 2 things. Okay. I mean, we both kind of talked about them before, but in terms of a character growing, and we see a character that grows throughout a series. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Rebels, is Ezra.
Yes.
He goes from the whiny little kid on what's that planet? Lothal, to a relatively competent Jedi. I think he becomes a Jedi Knight, kinda. And I don't know if his trials at the end.
A new version of a Jedi, whatever. I almost think they need a new name for the modern Jedi, the gray Ahsoka style Jedi.
Yeah. But no, we see him change throughout the entire show, and he can be reflected in his command cards. Command card that deals maybe with animal, when he has the whole mind meld with the animal, saying you have Inspire or something like that. So I see him as a very good candidate for that growing power.
That's a good one, and maybe he needs another Force user in his build to be able to access certain things.
Yes, let's see, because I'd rather have Kanan.
Yeah, of course, but maybe you can have Ezra and Luke. Yeah. Right? Maybe you can have Ezra and Ben Kenobi, or or something like that. Because what is it? Is it the offensive stance card? It's a training upgrade, but it requires that you also have a force on your bar in order to use. So it's a training upgrade that only Jedi presumably can use.
So kind of like that. I think I don't know if this is first or second edition or X-Wing, but the Darth Maul card that said if you have Ezra, you can equip Darth Maul.
Yeah, both
something
of them
like
have
that.
Yeah, no, like that. That's So the conditional stuff, Ezra could have something like that either works better or can't be taken unless you have a mentor. And so like that all works with Ezra. Ezra works for a number of reasons. Because here, the stone cold, almost certain prediction is that both Empire and Rebels are getting another lightsaber user.
Yeah, I agree, because they need one.
Yeah, they absolutely do. I mean, you could make an argument that say Rebels don't need one as much because they have Sabine, and I understand that, but she's not a Force user, so I think we need another Jedi, right? I think we need another Jedi. And Ezra's a great candidate. We already have Sabine. We want to get more people from Rebels. I think we would love... I mean, I would love to be able to run the Spectre Cell, or Phoenix... the Spectre Cell. I want to be able to run that.
Yep.
Who wouldn't, right? And what Rebel player wouldn't want to be able to do that?
And to be honest, they all have combat roles. That were even freaking... Oh, man, I forgot his name. The droid. Oh, Zeb.
Chopper, yeah.
Chopper, yeah.
Chopper would be insane.
He could be a combat. He could be our combat R2, man. He was a
well,
jerk.
You know what? My R2 was combat against you in our last battle report too. That's right. Because I actually brought that Inferno squad or the flaming. Impromptu immolation. Right?
I think it got like 2 or 3 of my guys.
It did okay. Yeah, it's
okay.
It could have done better. Yeah, I wish I had been able to do it with fire support, but that was a cool battle report. Go check that out if you guys haven't already seen. Yeah. So. Like Chopper sounds like he would be really, really fun. Not secret mission at all, right? But
no, like legit. I see him as like a little tiny, not assassin droid, but like a suppression droid because he was very like he did like all the antics to annoy the Imperials.
Well, I think anything from Rebels does definitely qualify as like the hype level stuff, like the very highly requested stuff. I would like to see 2 packs, kind of like how, since Maul is kind of a multi-mini pack, I would love to see an Ezra and Kanan pack, although I don't think they'll do that.
I don't think so either, but I would love to see it, because Kanan is one of my favorite characters, and he was legit cool Jedi Knight.
Oh, absolutely. But the reason I don't think they will give us Ezra and Kanan in the same pack is because... for balance, right? When you do a Jedi for one faction, you kind of have to do a Jedi or Sith for all the factions because pretty good chance they're going to come with something new that's Force related, and you want to make that upgrade available to all factions.
Yeah.
So, considering that the Republic's got so many Jedi, you need to space out the few Jedi we have for Empire and Rebels out enough that you can kind of release them all in the same wave. So I don't think they're going to waste 2 of them in the same expansion.
So we talk about observation droids, and I just actually thought of this because the command card I thought of, Ezra had that thing with animals. What if Ezra comes with Loth cats as his observation tokens?
Well,
that'd be so cute.
or the Loth wolves.
Oh, those are more like combat units, man. Those are kicking.
Well, they don't have to. Maybe it's a thing that maybe not every faction gets observation tokens.
And then there's that too. The faction identity is a big thing.
Right. Yeah. And certainly we have seen that some factions have, something either exclusively or semi-exclusively, whereas they do it better than everybody else. Like Rebels, it's dodge tokens, right? Rebels,
danger sense,
and danger sense. Yeah, like they have almost all the danger sense that's out there. And the Imperials, it's all about suppression, and then they tend to do more with aim tokens also.
Yep.
And then obviously the droids and the Republic kind of have more.
They've built-in identities.
They have built-in identity because of all the droids and then because of all the clones. It'd be kind of cool if we actually saw some clones that were Empire at some point too, like a late regiment clone. That probably wouldn't be until the game's like in its 6th year or something like that.
Yeah, that's stretching out there. Because I mean, it's hard to tell like who's the stormtrooper that was a clone and who's just a normal stormtrooper.
Yeah, it is. I think according to canon, it's the 501st were the clones that stayed. Like there was like the last clone unit that stayed into the Empire, so you could do like a 501st maybe. The stormtrooper. Yeah, maybe. So Ezra I think is a good choice. I think to counter that, not to counter that, but to mirror that for the Empire, I'm going to go with the Seventh Sister.
Oh,
Because the big part of me wants to say the Grand Inquisitor. I mean, there's a lot of Inquisitors, so I think they have a little bit of flexibility. They could even, some people have said generic Inquisitors, which is also a possibility. But
and just have multiple head packs or body packs. That'd be really cool.
Arm sculpts, all that.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the Seventh Sister specifically because it's Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yep.
And she's awesome. But also she had the droid.
Yes.
And if you want to give maybe the Empire some of that good stuff also, some of those observation tokens, here's a perfect candidate for you.
Yeah, that's a much more natural than Ezra and his Lothcats, because that's the direct droid link.
Well, one of the things I think they can do, because it looks like Separatists are going to have observation tokens in two different ways. One from the personnel, and then one from Darth Maul. All right? So what you can do to give another faction that same thing without it being exactly the same is you could give it to them in a small way, like through a command card. So maybe one of the Seventh Sisters' command cards is for her droid to drop a token. So she gets to do it, but it's only once per game.
Okay, yeah, that's good because it makes it unique. I like that.
Yeah, and this way it's not a complete these factions are identical. No, this faction can do it pretty well all game long. This faction, they can do it one time really well, but that's it, just once. Yep. And so that gives you some symmetry while being still asymmetric.
And the Inquisitors are they're a great asset for anyone to use, just because there's supposedly 9 of them at least as far as we know, but there could be more, and it's
they have a lot of room there. They definitely do, and I love the idea of generic Inquisitors someday too. Actually, I would love for them to do an entire generic line, like Jedi Outcast or Jedi, kind of thing? Or like a Jedi Survivor for the Rebels, a generic Inquisitor for the Empire, Lost Sith, or maybe not Dothraki. That's Game of Thrones.
Zabrak?
But what are the Knight brothers? Yeah, like a Knight brother or Knight sister could be a Force user or something like that. And of course, Jedi and Padawan combo or something like that for the Republic. All of that could work. I don't think that's what's coming in this wave, though. No, but there's a time and a place for something like that to actually show up, which probably around the time of sub-factions, if you want to run an all Force user sub-faction, which would be so cool.
I'm still waiting to hear more on sub-factions, because I think it's going to be such a...
That's another thing a lot of people wanted from Gen Con, too.
Oh, that's true. I mean, they've been teasing us for a bit about it, like, hey, you're going to find out. Hey, you're going to find out.
Yeah, and then, it's...
to be fair, everything going on.
I'm glad that they're taking their time. I'm glad, presumably, that they're spending a lot of time working on it. Again, I say presumably because I don't know what they're working on right now. But I think they're working on wave 10 or 11 right now. Last time I saw an interview with Alex Davey mentioned Luke was working on this wave or that wave, and those numbers mean virtually nothing to me. Yeah. So, yeah. And
there's in terms of miniature war games right now, Legion again is very consistent. Like there's stuff going on in the Warhammer world that's a little bit contentious, and it's always kind of neat to see FFG may have they're still learning and growing, but they're doing it decently well.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, this is
true. It could be better, but everyone could be.
This is true. So I think Seventh Sister's a good option. I think all of the Imperial Force users just about need to be Inquisitors for the time being. The only other one I could see them doing is Mara Jade, which I know they won't do right now.
They're not going to do that till we have a legit character in either a TV show or movie.
Yeah. Or if Disney makes a big change of plans and says, "Hey, all these media and toy and merchandising companies, here's the green light to go ahead with the Legends universe." Then FFG's like, "Oh, okay, let's do an entire Legends wave."
I thought you were going to go a different route with that quote.
oh no, yeah, no, everybody Legends go. That would be it'd be really cool, especially if Disney put out an animated Legends cartoon or something like that, or something like miniseries for Legends.
I would love the X-Men books were my favorite back in the day. I'd love to see them retell Corran Horn's story.
Oh yeah,
because it's cool.
I'd love Heir to the Empire trilogy in animated. You know, any excuse for more Thrawn, I'm okay with. But yeah, so yeah, no, that would be really fun. So that could be cool. But again, that's years from now, probably at best case scenario. But yeah, I think Inquisitor is definitely the way to go there. Seventh Sister makes the most sense. I think. I don't think we'll get anybody from Fallen Order. I think it's still too new for between everybody having a chance to play it, then for them to start designing it and have it tested and then produced. I think we're at least a year out from that.
What? Sorry, Mandalorian though is within that time frame. So do you think? And they teased that at what was it, Adepticon or whatever?
They did say that they're working on Mandalorian based stuff.
So this is within the time frame of it, especially with the season 2 release.
Good. That's a good point because you could get Moff Gideon. I feel like we won't get Moff Gideon yet. Here's why. I think he'll come later than most other stuff because the rumors going around right now is that he's got, and I'm not going to do spoilers, but that he's got a much deeper story than we know right now, and I think season 2 is going to go into that. So I think they probably can't design a Moff Gideon character until after they have FFG has watched season 2. I'm not sure. Time will tell, and of course, I'm sure they probably talk to Lucasfilm and say, "Hey, what do you think of us doing this guy?" And like, you might want to wait because you're going to find out he was a cyborg all along, or whatever, like something like that. And so, wouldn't it be silly to design a human character when it turns out they were a cyborg all along?
Very true.
Okay.
So characters that grow, the Mandalorian, his command cards relate to his armor. As he gets better armor, as better command cards, he gets better throughout the game.
That's fantastic. That's a really good idea. Yeah, permanent. Beskar chest plate, the backpack.
Whistling birds, or whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, that's a really good idea.
I was thinking he got better throughout the series because of his armor upgrades. Now it's not like ability upgrades, but like you can still work it into command cards. Freaking Boba Fett has a flamethrower as a command card. You can work it in as
As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they went back and made all of Boba Fett's command cards permanent. Or at least his weapon command card.
No, not
at least two of them.
Not the rocket one, because that one is disposable.
Yeah, but make it permanent and also once per game. So once you play it, he's got it available.
Oh, I got you.
And then
when
that
makes sense.
Yeah, or something like that. So this way you play it first turn, and then you've got like 2 weapons ready, for the next turn. Or maybe they change it to where when you use it, you gain an extra arsenal 1, so you can fire it and your other. That would make it a pretty good command card. I don't know, that's a cool idea. Okay, let's jump into. I want to talk about somebody that I thought maybe, and I think I've talked to you about this a little bit. And I think I mentioned this on a live stream also. Somebody that might show up that I thought, hey, this person probably hasn't been requested for Legion that much. And I'm probably wrong, but it's Thrawn. It's Thrawn.
No, that's funny. Everyone's requested him. I hate to say.
Well, maybe people have. But my thought was, he doesn't seem like somebody who'd be a grunt on the ground. Like, but he was on the battlefield, because he's pretty much a fleet commander. He's not really as much of a ground commander. So one of my first thoughts was Thrawn, because we had actually been talking about Thrawn right before Gen Con. So, but there's a cool idea I had for Thrawn, which would allow you to end the turn whenever you wanted, and it was like the idea that I've came up with is maybe it's his 1 pip. They did talk about Maul having his 3 pip actually have a 1 pip, but it still counts as a 3 pip for list building. Yeah. So, like Thrawn gets this. His 1 pip, it counts as his 1 pip, but it's actually got like 4 pips. So he's almost guaranteed to go last.
Yes.
And it's basically just gives him an order and says, at the end of Thrawn's activation, you may end the round. Which would be like, I figure that's a good way to capture his tactics, and that he has control of what's going on. He is kind of in control, because that could be game breaking, but it all really depends on how good the unit is. Like if that's his only good command card and that's like really his main thing, then it might be balanced.
No, I think it definitely can be, because it, like I said, having him go basically guarantee that he goes second allows your opponent some reactionary stuff. So maybe your opponent does something in that one
Oh, they
round.
claimed the objective. Crap! Now I can't end the round.
Now you can, exactly. So it gives your opponent a little bit of control, and it still requires you to be like in a perfect setup. So this would be a high, and with the idea of like high skill kind of maneuver. Like, okay, I know I have all this. I'm going to end it now just to speed things up.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe it costs Thrawn an action to end the round.
Yeah.
So he can't move and claim and then end the round. Maybe he would have had to have been there already. There's a certain amount of broadcasting your intentions. I think something like that would need to have, but give your opponent a little bit of reaction time. And the idea of the card would be that now that you've played the card, your opponent knows you can end the round whenever you want. You can opt to activate Thrawn last.
Yes.
And such that
force them into risky maneuvers. Like, oh no, I only have one more turn.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually that's very Thrawny.
And it's counterable.
Yeah, exactly.
It's counterable by some things like
if Thrawn dies.
If Thrawn dies, that's a very good one. And it might even say like if Thrawn doesn't have a certain amount of suppression too, maybe he needs to, needs to rally to be able to do it. So you can try and suppress him to stop him from doing his plan. Or Dooku's 2-pip, which takes that order, puts it back in the pile. It's like now you can't control when you lost control. Yeah. So like there are ways to counter something like that.
Well, even Iden has the one droid that goes. Bzz.
Yeah, I think it only works on core units though.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, but
you're right.
Still, but that's the idea. There exist opportunities to counter something like that. So I think that could be a fun way, like to try to figure out how would this master tactician work on the board, because it's always a challenge to design somebody as cool as Thrawn, who is more about knowing the battle rather than having a raw force. Brute force is easy to design. More dice.
Mm-hmm.
How do you design master tactics into that? And that's maybe controlling when the round ends. Could be.
No, and they seem to be heading toward that, making better plays. Kind of. I mean, yes, Darth Maul is brute force, but you have to play him right. So I think that their design field right now is looking towards making the battlefield more challenging, which is really cool because a lot of times some of these games, like hey, how many fire supports can I chuck down on one tank, and that's that might sway the game.
Yeah, possibly. That's very interesting.
I know we've talked about this one, and it's I don't know if it's been requested, but Saw Gerrera is a candidate.
Yes.
The flaws. And I know we talked about this.
I've wanted Saw Gerrera for a while.
He's perfect for Legion because he is that battlefield commander terrorist. That's what he is.
No, he's perfect. I always used to think, when we first saw Boba Fett, I'm like, oh, bounty gives you a victory point. Well, what if Saw Gerrera had some type of nasty, like, they wouldn't use the word terrorism, but if he was basically a terrorist, right? So what if he had some type of like overpowered or unfair attack that he does that gives your opponent a victory point? But now, like, with flaws, you don't have to go as hard as, like, because who would want to play somebody that's like, well, now I'm going to lose the game if I play this guy. So now all of a sudden the flaw maybe gives you a little more control.
What do you think his flaw would be? Because like I'm trying to
Paranoia.
So oh yeah, good point.
Yeah, maybe if he's surrounded by too many of his own guys, he becomes untrustworthy.
Oh,
maybe.
Well, I mean, it's you. I think the idea is the flaw is you're going to play him once, right?
Well, yeah, like the flaw, from what I understand, the flaw is a card you're going to give to your opponent, and they're going to. I believe they said if the conditions were met, then they could play the card.
And so
or they said something along those lines. So I certainly imagine that if suppression is a build up trigger for Anakin, that's going to be one of the things. Like if suppression is X, then you play this card on Anakin. So assuming something like that, maybe being kind of solo is the thing that allows Saw Gerrera to work. And if he gets surrounded by too many of his own guys, then they get to play that, and then maybe he attacks one of his own guys. It might not be
like or gives them all like three suppression or something like that.
Maybe it's the Borgullet, like you said.
Yeah, the only bad thing to see about that is like depends on the Rebel player. Because if I were like playing my Jin and Pathfinders and Cassian, and then I have Saw I can use, and he gives suppression to my guys, like okay, yeah, that's fine. That's a great flaw.
That's Oh yeah,
That's what
yeah.
I'm thinking.
I like the idea of him attacking an allied unit that's within range 1 of him, or something like that.
Or maybe reduces actions just flat out for units within 1 to 2 of them. Like so, only everyone gets only 1 action.
Oh yeah, that you'd have to find a way to mark them, but yeah, that could
Oh
work.
yeah. A little gullet.
Maybe it comes with a Borgullet miniature. That would be really cool.
It's just like an octopus, right?
It was more like I think a slug or a snail without. Did it have a shell? We didn't really get to see the back of the Borgullet. Yeah, maybe we need Borgullets. Maybe that's the one that nobody asked for. Was a Borgullet.
I mean, technically, you can observation
be.
seeing the enemy's mind.
Oh my gosh! If it's the Borgullet, I think then we just need to hang this up and to start a Borgullet podcast. That's insane. All right.
When that first movie, I thought it was Bugully because the way he breathes it like
you always used to say Borgully, and I'm like, you sound like something my grandpa used to say. Yeah, but yeah. I kind of want to shift a little bit and talk about what the unit that nobody's asked for might be.
Yeah, but then it's a weird little in between. It's no one's asked for it, but people want it. So
it might be. I think specifically what he said is when you see it, you will want it. So it may just be that the sculpt is so good, or the stats are so good, or it comes with a Borgullet, or whatever.
Good.
Yeah. So
that's so tough for me because my ideas of what it could be are also not really cool.
Yeah, the first thing I thought of was a Rancor trainer without a Rancor.
Yeah,
I'm like nobody would have wanted that, right? And so that's where Luke, Eddie, is like, no, it's not that nobody wants it; it's that nobody's asked for it yet.
I thought of the Yavin based little scanner guys.
Okay, so the rebels. You're talking about the rebels, right?
For the rebels, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just a fleet trooper with a scanner gun. So
it is. Well, it's a different. You can have the same. You can have a fleet trooper in a different pose.
You get to buy the tower.
Well, maybe you get the tower, but that could totally work. And so when the X-wings are taken off, you have this fleet trooper with his little laser rangefinder kind of guiding them in. That would be an observation type of unit.
Yeah, but
and it's okay for it to be a fleet trooper because look how many scout troopers we have on different models, right? You've got scout troopers in the E-Web. You've got snow troopers.
Snow troopers in the E-Web, yeah.
Scout troopers were in the E-Web and Imperial Assault.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, my point is you got snow troopers on the E-Web. You got snow troopers on the ground. Yeah.
No, it's but it's again,
and it's canon.
It's not an appealing. I would want it because it does the thing, but I don't it wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be exciting.
That.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. That doesn't sound like it would be exciting. Another one that I thought of was the Garandon, I think is his name. He is the elephant-looking thing in episode 4 that kind of snitched.
It's
the Garandon.
Right? Yeah. I thought it was Kubaz. Is that the species? Is Kubaz?
I think the species was Garandon, and he had a name because they had a short story about him.
Yeah.
And for that book from a certain point of view, but he was he
was
ratted out
like the politician from another world or something.
He was like an exiled's dad trying to raise enough money to get back to his daughter or something. But the point is, he's sold out the rebels to the stormtrooper. He sold out Han Solo and them, and that's. Yeah, so he could be an observer,
and they could be a cool unit.
It could be okay, but it's not exciting to me. So I'm hoping it's not that.
I would
love for it to be like a band, like the Biff band, Max Rebo.
I guess it'd be cool.
I would love. I just want the minis, and I want them FFG to do like
blue elephant dude.
No, that's Jabba's band. That's Max Rebo.
That is Max Rebo. Yeah.
What's the Biff band from episode 4?
Oh, they have a name, and I'm going to get crucified for not knowing.
I know, I'll Google it, because there's also stories about that.
Dan?
Yes, Figure and Dan and the modal nodes.
I was on it.
Yeah, you were right there. Okay.
Is in the back of my mind.
Yeah. Oh, I better not sing that before I get a copyright strike.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. Freaking craziness.
I think it's off tune anyway, so you're good, buddy.
Yeah, if that was good enough, then give me a Grammy. So I'm gonna take us in a direction.
Okay.
That's a little crazy, because I was thinking, what are the things that people may have not asked for? Well, I think the distinction here is that there's one thing that people didn't ask for. So if it's going to be 2 Jedi, or 2, you know, or whatever, 2 saber wielders, I think both of those would be common enough that they've probably been asked for.
Right.
So then I think the one thing that people haven't asked for is in the other 2, is a part of the other pair.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it's got to be something that maybe the Empire doesn't have that the Rebel has an equivalent for, or vice versa.
See, I want to go with those the freaking suppression, the ones in Force. The Force game we just had. I can't believe I forgot the name.
Oh, the Fallen Order.
Fallen Order, yeah, the whatever those guys were.
That's a possibility, but I
think people have asked for them. So
I still feel like everything from Fallen Order is at least a year out, just because of the development time frame for something like that, and that game's still kind of new. Here's where I'm going.
All right.
We know that. All right, AT-AT. Okay. No. Here,
okay, everyone's asked for that.
Here's where I'm going with this. We know that that's big stuff is under consideration because Andrew Navarro said that during the Ask Me Anything. He didn't say it was absolutely coming, but he did say, "Oh yeah," like when asked about that specifically, he didn't say no, and he said he went off on this whole discussion about how ultra large things could be done, but they'd have to come down and scale a little bit, and that's something that he's really excited about. So it was almost like a soft yes.
Okay.
So as far as I'm concerned, that's an official yes. The AT-AT is coming, right? Okay, so a lot of people were like, why aren't they going to announce the AT-AT at Gen Con? That's a big time to do it. Well, maybe it wasn't ready yet, and that's why they couldn't show it. But that's why they only gave us Maul and Anakin. They couldn't give us the whole wave. Okay?
All right.
But here's one step forward. The AT-AT is that 4th unit that hasn't talked about yet. So we've got the 2 Force users, we got the one thing nobody's wanted, and then the AT-AT. The AT-AT, of course.
Okay.
The
AT-AT's I see what you're going with.
So the Rebels don't have a direct counter to the AT-AT. And so in order to come up with one, it may have to be something that's a little bit more obscure that people have not asked for yet.
Shield generator?
No. So
the tower things.
Well, they already have the 1.4 FD. That could be the Golan Tower, maybe.
Yeah.
But no, I had to go into stuff that because the other keyword is that he's like, oh, it's canon. I'm like, okay. Well, the only reason you'd have to say that is if it was something that maybe people didn't know was canon or would think wasn't canon.
Right.
So I did a little bit of searching, and I'm going to give you 2 or 3 things that I think it could be.
Okay.
First thing is there's a in one of the games, because apparently like the games, a lot of the stuff in the games is canon. There's a Rebel Juggernaut tank, which is. It looks like the Juggernaut from the Clone Wars, you know, the 10-wheeled, the 10-wheeled vehicle, right? But this one, it looks more like a standard tank, and it's got 2 giant, like heavy laser cannons on top. The Rebels could get like a proper tank. This is a wheeled tank. It could be something like that. The only thing is, I'm not sure about that. Is like I don't play like the smartphone games for Star Wars. There may be a contingent of people who've asked for that for the Rebels, so I'm not sure. I don't usually see people asking for stuff like that because if it's video games, it's maybe not top tier to get into this. But
and then also like the Rebels aren't generally big on the vehicles too, so it's something people might not ask for. So you're right.
Right, exactly. It's one of those things. But I think it's also an area where the Rebels are very weak in that they do have, like they have these transports and stuff, but these transports are very squishy and they're more about maneuverability.
Yeah.
Right. And look at all the vehicles in the game right now. They're about like I'm going to sit where I am and be super tough. You know, and of course the Empire has options to do that. But the Rebels don't have an option to do that. Right. The ATRT is like kind of a mid-level, maybe.
Yeah.
But I could see them maybe doing something like that. It doesn't seem to fit, but I feel like mechanically there's room for that.
Yes,
and if you were ever going to do it, doing it opposite the AT-AT would be the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
So that's one option.
It's one. Okay.
Another option is something very, very, very close to that, which is I think it's called an AT-AP, otherwise called a sniper tank, and that's like a Rebel Walker almost that has giant turrets on the top. It almost
is
looks
that the one from Solo?
No. It's it looks more like an ATTE, kind of like from the Clone Wars a little bit, but
on it.
Yeah, it's not very common. I only found it after like doing some searching and stuff, so that's something that probably nobody has asked for yet, because I'm guessing unless you play the one game it came from, you probably never even heard of it before, right? Yeah. But now I'm going to go a little more obscure, and there was a and I you know what, I lost the name of it, but there was another vehicle the Rebels had in Empire Strikes Back that apparently was cut from the films, and it was.
Okay, so yeah, that'd be interesting because it's canon,
and it was on Hoth, and it was like a snow speeder type of thing, but it was on the ground. It was a ground vehicle, and it was like a light snow assault vehicle or something like that. That had a turret, and there's like even a picture of like Luke like on this thing's turret. I think you might have been able to see it in the trenches at Hoth, or like behind a trench, because there's there's some zoomed in close up shots of it on the internet that show like the tip of like its turret, and it was, and I don't think they finished building it in time, so like the shots of it are very like. It's almost like the equivalent of a background ship from Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi that was like really there just to kind of fill out, make it look like
the Brakata or whatever you call it.
Yeah, like the Brahatok, or there's even more. There's even more ships that were just background filler. This was kind of like background filler for the Battle of Hoth, and so that would make it canon, but also so obscure that people haven't asked for it.
Asked for it. Okay, that's fair.
And so if FFG got to like maybe redesign it. Like maybe that was the cold version variant, but they made the normal land version, and so they got to add a few tweaks and add some extra greebles and make it look really good.
Yeah, no, that could be like a what's I'm gonna go mechanized infantry kind of look. I think would be great.
Yeah, and so and so I think like in one of the entries that I was reading about it, it sucks that I freaking lost the name and I don't want to go looking for it right now. But it's they said that it was helpful in defending against like ATSTs in the Battle of Hoth. Okay. So it makes it seem like it would be a good match for the ATST.
Yeah.
Or perhaps maybe even slightly superior to the ATST, which wouldn't be a direct match for the AT-AT, but if you had like two of them, then maybe. Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Oh man. Okay.
Oh yeah. So that's my obscure thing, is like maybe it's something to be opposite the AT-AT.
Okay. See, my ideas were the one, like, not the obscure one, but like the one that has like observation token linked was Viper probe droids. I think would be cool to see.
That's a very good. That's actually something we definitely need, because we've got all the new keywords with droid now. More droid units is cool, because it gives them the ion stuff. It makes ion weapons better.
Yep.
And it's also very iconic. The Viper droid's very iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it should be bigger than those Imperial Assault ones too. It should be
a
little bit bigger.
I mean, the Imperial Assault ones were actually pretty cool sculpts as well, so I can just imagine them just building upon that.
Oh man, yeah.
Man, so like
with a self-destruct keyword too.
I know, that'd be so cool.
Oh my goodness, that's really cool. Like,
cool if the unit died, it did it no matter what. So if you had like a good strong attack while it was still around other friendly units, it's a risk.
I think it's gonna have to be a May, because like the way they did it is like it was always a new. It seems like it was it's a choice that it makes.
I just wanted to pick your brain on.
Okay.
Have people asked for X-wings and A-wings and Y-wings in the game?
I talked about them a little bit at the very beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be ships. It could be straight up
that's
aircraft.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people have asked for lats.
Yeah, well, see, that's to me that's more iconic, but like
U-wings, I believe, have been talked about.
I think
we have talked about U-wings.
Yeah, we see that's that's where I think my brain's kind of getting stuck, is that we talked about all this kind of stuff.
We're assuming Luke Eddy listens to this podcast.
Exactly, which
he's like he does not care.
Oh,
I also heard that Luke Eddy doesn't shower. So we'll see if he has to refute that. I don't know. I would never like just make that accusation randomly. I'm just saying that's what people are saying.
Exactly.
So and we'll see if he listens.
He could tell us it's true, and
we'll
clear his name.
Yeah, Luke, if you're here, like let's talk about the rumors that you haven't showered.
Come on the show and tell us that we're wrong.
Yeah. Consider this your open invitation, Luke. But
oh man.
yeah.
Okay. So,
that's really mean. Luke.
Yeah,
I love you, Luke. I love you. Whether you shower or not, I still love you.
Yeah, and you come on the show.
You can definitely come on the show. Yeah. Because look, even if you don't shower, like the webcams are not transmitting smells yet.
Yeah, please don't say that. That's horrifying thought.
Oh man, could you imagine?
No, I don't want to imagine. Do not.
Oh man, yeah, that would be weird. That would be really. Yeah, yeah. I think we're at a. I think that's all I've got.
I can't because everything I think of is like no. I think it was asked for.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing I can think of. You know what? Maybe Shriv, the guy from.
Yeah. From Battlefront 2? Or
Battlefront 2.
Battlefront 2 is old enough that stuff from that game is viable to show up.
Iden's coming out now?
Shriv could show up. I feel like anything that shows up is probably got to interact somehow with either flaws, observation tokens, or Jedi.
Yeah.
Or not. You know, or it could be a vehicle that maybe takes advantage or synergizes with something like that. You know, who knows? I mean, there's all kinds of other Rebel vehicles out there that are not common. Like I just did a search for like obscure Star Wars Rebel vehicles, and like there's like a Rebel Forest Ranger, which is a little green kind of transport thing. You know, maybe the Rebels will get a full unit transport. You know, like that would be cool. They could certainly use that, especially to drop them Wookiees or something into close range.
I mean, that's I was kind of hoping the GR-37, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The land speeder. I was hoping that would be it, but you know.
Maybe whatever Rebel hero we have will have slow speed, so we'll be able to take really good advantage of the land speeder. You know, Transport 1.
What about? Well, okay. Go with me. What about Saw and
Saw should be real slow.
No, Saw.
Baze and Chirrut.
Baze and Chirrut.
Baze and Chirrut is
Baze is your heavy. No, people have asked for them though.
People have those could be your Force guys. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be Ezra.
Right, but Bodhi could be our observation guy for Rebels.
Bodhi Rook could be.
Yeah,
could also introduce a traitor mechanic. The Rebels could have a monopoly on treason.
Cowardice. Well, he was brave.
He wasn't a coward. I don't think that qualifies.
His flaw is the Bugully.
No, maybe his flaw is that he's a wanted man. You know, he's got Imperial agents coming for him. You know, it's tough, because I do like the idea of Baze and Chirrut being your Force users there.
Yeah.
Or at least having the Force, like
a Force upgrade.
Yeah, because Chirrut could take offensive stance, and presumably it flips over to defensive stance or something like that.
Chirrut that's right. Does say flip over? I love those kind of cards where they do that. It's cool.
That is very cool. All right, this has been a fun discussion, and I think it kind of brings us to a good wrapping up point.
I agree.
All right, well, let us know what you guys think down in the comments section. If you guys are listening to us on YouTube, thank you. If you guys are listening to us elsewhere, we're also available on Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and all of wherever fine podcasts are sold. Subscriptions are now free. By the way, limited time offer. You can click subscribe. We will not charge you for that, so be sure to check out the.
If you give a good review, we'll definitely give you a better subscription of freeness.
Oh yeah, it will be double free, double critical. All right, that's all we got. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.